I put all the managers from my FM saves into one database to see who will be the most successful throughout 11 seasons. The first to be sacked, Jose Chroo. The same man who left Boa Vista for Porto mid-season, stayed loyal in this timeline, and got punished. It's a shame, but the right decision with his former club finishing in 6th. The first trophy, Mr. Crucini, who helped Torino lift the Europa League. Except that was Sergio Conceição, as he left for Chelsea in January, placing in 10th. Although, Crucini did lead the Blues to an FA Cup final, but lost to Manchester City. Since the Chroo technically had 2 saves, I used the Espanyol timeline where he was sacked from Leverkusen. The Catalan outfit qualified into European football thanks to Wu Lei being La Liga's top scorer. The FM23 lads didn't have as much success. Zinedine Zidane with Paris FC missed out on the promotion playoff by a point. Ronald Koeman's Go Ahead Eagles were 12th. Lastly, Krugertis finished 6th with Aris. And that's the furthest his journey would go, as the old man retired. I should have set a retirement date. The beta saves aren't included, so no fraudulent inazio. However, Lucas Chroo managing Chroo Alexandra wasn't cruel, as he got them into the promotion playoff. Unfortunately, they lost to Mansfield in the semis, walking Chroo at Schalke undefeated in the last 11 matches, with 8 draws, ending the second Bundesliga in 4th. Norwegian Chroo? Homeless. Finally, Krujanowski's adventure won't be shared here, as that's a whole different video. Moving into season 2, the unemployment rate had increased. Lucas Chroo at the Chroo turned out cruel, as he was dismissed. They were 18th when he was sacked in the middle of December. With Chroo Alexandra ending in 22nd, this seemed premature. Joining him in unemployment was Ronald Koeman. Not sacked, but mutual termination, placing in 12th again. He'll soon find a job being on everybody's manager list. Oh, that's the FBI's. Mr. Crucini improved Chelsea by qualifying for the Europa League. The Chroo at Espanyol unfortunately lost to Benfica in the Europa semis. Daguias defeated Newcastle to lift the trophy, breaking their curse. In the league, a slight improvement, placing in 6th. Wu Lei continues to be the GOAT. Jose Chroo got back off his couch and found a job. It was at Tondela, who were dead last. He couldn't improve that, so he'll be managing in the 2nd tier next season. Crudan at Paris continues to miss out on promotion, so I'll show you Mboop to make up for it. Finally, there's Joachim Chroo, whose Schalke side finished in 3rd and won the promotion playoff over FC Köln. Norwegian Chroo? Still homeless. He'd retire by the end of season 3, which was the year of new jobs. If you want to use the database with all these managers, it is available to those a part of specific tiers on my Patreon, YouTube members, and Twitch subscribers. There's also another tier if you want your name in the credits of my video. But regardless, I appreciate the support. To the shock of no one, Mr. Crucini will be sacked by Chelsea. A 1-0 loss to Leicester in November dropped the Blues to 12th. It wouldn't take him long to find work, with AC Milan hiring him prior to the new year. He took them from mid-table to 7th. Koeman also found a job. At Vitesse, he took them to the Eredivisie. Oh, he's only been in charge for 27 days? They didn't have a manager for the entire campaign? Classic Koeman. From promotion to another relegation, Jose Chroo did the impossible. Back-to-back relegations with Tondela. With 5 consecutive losses to end the campaign, Tondela were sent to a playoff against 3rd division side Fafa. After drawing the away tie, they went on to lose at home, sending them to the 3rd tier for the first time since 2012. Lucas Chroo had interest from Barrow, but that faded, eventually leading to his retirement. There was a move in France though. In December, Zinedine Zidane's Paris FC were mid-table. Then arrived an opportunity to go to Ligue 1 with FC Lorient. He didn't refuse and got relegated. Like Chroo, he would get sacked. But let's return to a competent manager like the guy at Espanyol. With Wu Lei's dominance, they earned 3rd place. That included Spanish League Manager of the Year. Unfortunately, Real Sociedad ended their Europa League run. Regardless, progress is being made. Finally, Joachim Chroo respectively finished 13th in Schalke's return to the Bundesliga. The nice period in Gelsenkirchen wouldn't last long. His methods were tiring out the squad, leading to terrible performances. Bottom in November, However, meant the Schalke board had to let him go. It seemed like the right decision, with them surviving via the playoff, but that didn't take into account Joachim's new job at St. Pauli. It didn't begin well in 2027 with a debut loss sending them down to 10th. Seemingly, disaster was looming for the sniffer. 8 winless from the end of February to the middle of April. However, they found their way into the DFB Pokal's semis. Granted, their run was filled with teams in the same division. Still, you have to win the games that are in front of you. A goal by Ibrahim Matza sent them to the final, where they'd face bottom of the Bundesliga, FC Köln. What a weird cup final. St. Pauli dealt with them with a 1-0 win, which means in the second tier, St. Pauli and Joachim Chroo are going to Europe. Into that campaign, the Cruz Español took a step back to 5th. Yet, they did make the Spanish Cup final that concluded in penalties. Sadly for Español, Moyan and Mario Ruiz misses lost them the trophy. The only other one we can talk about is Crewman. His return to the Eredivisie concluded in 10th. Respectable, which can't be said about Crucini, Cruninho, and Crudan. Focusing on the former, he was fired by AC Milan less than a year into the job. Remaining unemployed with the others, the failure of their careers took a while to conclude. Despite Crucini nearly being employed by Liverpool, 2 years later, nobody wanted any of them. Reality set in, and retirement was their only choice. Only 3 remain, and Cruz Español may have passed their peak. Dipping down into 7th and an aging Woolley, the silver lining was their first trophy. A Spanish Super Cup that didn't involve Barcelona was won. Goals from Matias Arezzo and Woolley. Finally, a notable achievement by someone other than Joachim Chroo, who had an entertaining season. A second Bundesliga team like St. Pauli competing in Europe turned out better than anticipated. Failing in their promotion attempt was masked by a run to the Europa League round of 16. Stunning Sporting after leg 1, they unfortunately collapsed in the reverse fixture, but memories were made. Ronald Koeman, meanwhile, kept improving. Placing 8th, Europe could be achievable. Koeman sacked. He really had them in 14th. Espanyol's the Chroo and St. Pauli's Joachim Chroo were the only ones employed by the end of the 2028-29 campaign. Espanyol placed in 6th, barely missing out on Champions League football. Joachim, meanwhile, left St. Pauli mid-season and took a step up to Stuttgart. From 13th to a solid finish in 9th, can he build on it? Hell yeah! 1 year later, and he got Stuttgart into the Champions League. 4th above Dortmund, he was runner-up in the German Players' Manager of the Year. I suppose people didn't like shaking his hand. The Crew's success with Espanyol was minimal. They're back with Europe's elite, but the legend of the club Woolley has concluded his playing days. Ronald Koeman, still unemployed. However, sweating away at KFC would end 9 days before Christmas, as he was appointed boss of Excelsior. Jaap Stam was doing wonders, and left for West Ham, giving Koeman an easy job to build off their position in 9th. They finished 13th. The Koeman effect. Alright, how did the Champions League go for the other 2 guys? Well, that was quick for Joachim. Sacked on February 8th, 2031, Stuttgart may have been in 12th, but excuse my bias. This sacking was unjustified. They made the Champions League playoff, and he wasn't given a chance to manage that. Karma comes at you quick, as not only did they get eliminated by Lazio, Stuttgart would get relegated. Maybe Joachim wasn't the problem. The Chroo, meanwhile, left Espanyol at the beginning of August. AC Milan came calling, and he answered, how does second place in Serie A sound? In addition, he won both the Italian Super Cup and the Coppa Italia. It was the Raspadori show in the latter with a hat trick. Just don't ask him about his visit to Poland. Advancing to the 2031-32 season closure, the Chroo once more finished second in Serie A behind Inter by 3 points. Sadly, the other competitions went disastrously, including 29th in the Champions League. At least he won Serie A Manager's Manager of the Year and another award in December. Koeman then got sacked. Did you expect him to actually achieve anything? In a year, he'd end it all with retirement. Finally, Joachim found a job with Galatasaray. They haven't won the division since 2029, and they would have to wait. They nearly made a European final, but Tottenham got in their way in the conference semis. Funnily enough, Spurs defeated Cruninho's former side Boavista to lift the trophy. Into the 10th season of Chroo Tracker, AC Milan once more finished second, 3 points behind Inter. The Crew's legacy would be muddied by the incredible Nerazzurri. If it wasn't Klopp, it'd be Luis Enrique. He would also lose to him again in the Coppa Italia final after extra time. Another collapse arrived in the Champions League quarters to Real Madrid. Rodrigo equalized the tie in the 72nd minute, and Marco Antonio's red card followed. Subsequently, 2 more Madrid goals arrived, eliminating the Rossoneri. Joachim Chroo then? He brought glory back to Galatasaray. With 79 points, a second career trophy was earned, and his reputation was building back up. Plus, he earned Turkish Super League Manager of the Season. Concluding with the 2033-34 campaign, usually, Kroos don't do 11 seasons. And for Joachim, he must have wished things would have stopped a few sentences ago. Galatasaray finished in 3rd, and the only thing that saved his job was winning the Turkish Cup over Trabzonspor. That saved his reputation, because now he has interest from Bayern. But so does the Chroo, because he got another 2nd place finish. It wasn't competitive this year. Plus, a 9-1 loss to former rivals Barcelona was agonizing. The sole bright spot was winning the Super Cup over Inter. By the end, it's clear that these two were the most successful managers of the lot. Now that doesn't include Mariusz Krzyżanowski, who recently left the Polonia Warszawa post. Two of the favorites for the open position has to be a Chroo.